Tanner, can we do a? I'm I'm having a little trouble thinking this through. Would you mind doing a role play with me about
Sure.
this? I'll be the guy. I'll be the customer, and you be the guy.
Okay. What is there a particular part that you're working through,
Yeah,
like just this
I don't
options
I
portion?
don't under I'm having a little trouble, and I always have. It's probably just me. I always have had I've had to do workarounds when it comes to getting people to give me a budget or even a
Oh yeah.
range of a budget.
Oh yeah.
So
Me too, for sure.
yeah, but what you said sounded so much better than what I say, and it seemed like
Oh,
less of a
don't be thinking
workaround.
that now. You'll start overestimating the my on the spot ideas. But yeah, we can kind of riff with this.
Okay, so Tanner, we'll start, and I'll start. So
Okay.
Tanner, um, I see these I see these install options. Tell me what they mean. I've watched the videos and I get it to some degree, but why can't I just get a MERV 13 filter? Why do I need all this other stuff? I mean, there's got to be an end to the money I spend, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and if the MERV 13 is the route that you want to go, I mean that's definitely the option you want to go. But before we get to that, on some of those videos that you watched, of like especially the six functions, were there any portions of those that kind of stuck out to you that seemed like that it might be important to you, or did they just kind of seem like, it'd be nice, but I don't really care?
Yeah. I thought about the filtration and I want to get that. Um, the fresh air. I mean, sometimes my wife opens windows, but when she does open the window, you don't know what's coming in, so that might nullify the filtration. So what I'm asking is that something that is going to be, if I open the windows, have I messed up the filtration?
Well, I mean, opening up windows definitely helps bring in fresh air if that's the route you want to do it. It's just, some people they don't want to have to mess with that. And you mentioned liking the filtration, that seeming like a good idea. I know a lot of people they kind of like the good filtration just because it helps keeps the system clean and they don't have to worry about dirty coils, issues in the future there. But was there a particular reason that made you it, want the filtration, or what was going on there?
Yeah, it's my dog. My dog is low to the ground. She's a miniature dachshund, and her throat collapsed, and so she has a hard
Okay.
time. And so we had a room air purifier, and when she goes in that room, it's better for her. So I'm
Okay.
really trying to figure out is I see this fresh air on there. It's $1,600 or $1,800, whatever it is. Is that going to benefit me that much?
Well, it could benefit you really well, or it might not be all too good for you. If opening up windows is something that just isn't a problem, I mean, it kind of sounds like that the filtration is a for sure thing for you, which is a very common one. That's what a lot of people like to do. And a lot of people also sometimes go with just the filtration and then add the fresh air in the future. Um, Now, the tricky part is knowing whether or not you're letting in enough fresh air by opening up your windows or not. Sometimes opening up your windows uh, doesn't really bring in fresh air, but sometimes it brings in hot, humid air and it brings in way too much for what you actually want. The benefit of the fresh air is it's going to bring in a slow pace of fresh air all the time, and you don't have to sit and think about, did I leave my windows open? Should I go open up my windows? And things like that. Does that sound like that may be a problem or something that works for you?
Yeah, my wife leaves the windows open all the time, too much, and
Okay. So that could be a problem then.
yeah, so I think the fresh air is something I should do. What is that going to add to my deal? The total deal. If we've got I think you've got 1,800 for the filtration, and you've got 900 for the, 900 for the filtration and 1,800 for the fresh air. What does that add to the deal? Is that, because we haven't even talked about equipment yet. Where do we go?
Well, this is adding, I mean, it comes down to what do you want to be thinking about? That additional $1,800, to some people it's a lot of money, or it's a lot of money, period. But to some people, it's just not really worth it. But to some people, they see it as just, okay, this is a peace of mind. I can set it, forget it. I pay it one time and be done with it. It sounds like that to you, fresh air and filtration, especially with your dog and that situation, sounds like it definitely would benefit you quite a bit. Now, I don't know where your budget is already laying out. Like you said, we're talking $900 for this filtration. We're talking $1,800 for just the fresh air. And then we haven't even got to the equipment yet. Now, like I said before, some of these other things, we can add those on in the future if need be. And me personally, I think the better equipment helps a lot more because that's a lot more difficult to redo. So if I were to kind of help you out here, I would say probably let's look at we know we're definitely getting filtration. That seems like that's something that you definitely have to have.
Right.
Let's look at our equipment options and see kind of where we're at. And if you kind of have like a budget range of what you're looking at, some people they're in the $8,000 to $12,000 range. That's what they have to work with. Some people may be in the $15,000 to $25,000 range. So that opens us up to a lot. Okay, so you're in that 15 to 25. Okay, well, if that's where we're at, we can get some good equipment, and this fresh air option is, it's definitely doable in your budget range. Now, for us to really know, we'd have to kind of tighten that budget range up. And to start with, we would kind of want to know what kind of equipment we're looking at. And as we kind of looked at our equipment options, was there any one that was kind of sticking out to you, especially after seeing that 6 functions video?
Yeah, the load matching and the dehumidification, they matter. I don't want to get a dehumidifier if I don't have to, because that's a whole bunch of other money. So I think I'd be on the top two on the left. On the right.
Yes, definitely. If we're trying to avoid a dehumidifier, those top two are really our only options if that's our ground rules. Both of those are really good options. Like I said, dependent on where our budget is falling, I can't really see what our numbers are on the top two, so it's kind of difficult to do quick math in my head. But
I was thinking, what I was interested in was going to be about 20. I can't see what that says. Okay,
we'll just say, Tanner, how about 18 and 23? We'll go 18 for a 5-stage, 23 for the green speed.
Okay, so the 5-stage then works. If we did the 5-stage, if we did the fresh air and the filtration, the 5-stage is right in there.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. I didn't have a way to articulate what you do. Normally what I do is what I had been doing up until like last month is I had been, hitting the equipment first, and then I started putting because we talked about it, putting the optional things first. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like a hill for me to get over. And fortunately I've made it over a lot, but not in a way that was really static, like what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Solid flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right. Yeah. And which I guess it's kind of tricky, like, because for me, the 5-stage is just a super good option because the heat load, like, we don't get cold enough for long enough for it to really matter. And so if they at least get to that 5-stage, and I guess how I've kind of been doing it, always been doing it, especially if there's kind of like small add-on things, is I try to get them to a spot to where they're like, oh yeah, I definitely want this. Like that way it's kind of like we can go, okay, so this is cemented in. We're definitely getting filtration. We're just iffy on this fresh air. Okay, well, let's go look at this other thing over here first, and then we can kind of see where we're at here. And so,
Yeah.
you know, because if they're on the, especially if they're on the, if they're on the fence, I guess the direction that I'll try to, you know, walk them through is, okay, if we're looking at fresh air and you know, we're not sure if we want it or not, are we in a place where we're not sure if we want it now or later, or are we just not sure if we want it at all? Because if they're
That's
kind of like,
beautifully put.
if they're on a now and a later fence, I may be like, okay, well, if that's the case,
Lean towards
you-
better equipment.
yeah,
Better
let's get
equipment.
better equipment. And how about this? We'll see how this goes, and then maybe even like a Haven or something like that makes sense.
Right. Let's
You
track
know-
the indoor air quality and see whether or not the
Yeah.
the fresh air even makes sense. I am hearing from you guys and from Ronnie that the fresh air, it's probably half the cost of an ERV anyway. So it's not an inexpensive option.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it does make the difference a lot of times between, say, a 2-stage and a 5-stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so depending on how people are thinking, you have to help them with that. You have to help them figure out, is the fresh air really important, and it's really important right now, and you know it's really important, or is it a thing you're not sure if it's important, so maybe we should measure it and go with the better equipment for now because it's within your budget, and that way you won't regret not getting the better equipment.
Yeah.